Hello everyone, I am Tushar Raghav. I am here to present a topic information security vulnerabilities on cybersecurity. This is my first informative video on my YouTube channel. So let's moving ahead. Now we'll understand information security vulnerabilities. Information security vulnerabilities are weakness in software, hardware or network configurations that attackers can exploit to gain unauthorized access or causes harm. Understanding these vulnerabilities is crucial for protecting sensitive data and system from attacks. That means vulnerabilities is the weakness in our software, hardware, or network configurations. So we should understand about system vulnerabilities for the protecting our sensitive data. There are some common vulnerabilities: buffer overflow and SQL injection. First one is buffer overflow. Buffer overflow occurs when a program tries to store more data in a buffer than it can hold, potentially overwriting adjacent memory, leading to unexpected behavior and security risk. That means buffer overflow will occur when we will store more data in a buffer than it can hold, and when we will overwrite adjacent memory, at that time it will occur in our memory. Second is SQL injection, a technique where malicious code is injected into the data inputs to manipulate or compromise the backend database, potentially granting unauthorized access or modifying data. SQL injection occur when we will input a harmful data to manipulate the data from the backend. Here defining buffer overflow. Fixed size buffer. Programs often allocate a fixed amount of memory for storing data known as a buffer. This buffer has a specific size limitation. Data overrun. When a program receives more data than the buffer can hold and extra data overflows into adjacent memory location, potentially overwriting important data or even executing malicious code. Causes and consequences for buffer overflow. Unvalidated inputs. When programs don't properly validate user input, attackers can send special crafted data that exceed the buffer capacity. That means attackers can send a crafted data that will be more powerful to the buffer capacity to breach the security. Second one is memory corruption. Overflowing data can overwriting critical memory areas, disrupting program execution, or allowing attackers to inject malicious code. Majorly, memory corruption occurs when a computer program memories is altered without a explicit assignment and allowing attackers to inject malicious code. Third one is security breaches. Exploiting buffer overflows can lead to unauthorized access, data theft, systems crashes, and denial of service attacks. Exploits buffer overflow can lead to unauthorized access. It can lead unauthorized access, data theft, systems crashes, and deny to the service attacks. How to exploit buffer overflow. Understanding the vulnerabilities. Attackers analyze target software to identify potential buffer overflows by examining code and data structure. Attackers can easily understand the target software to identify potential buffer overflows by examining code and by the help of data structure. Crafting exploitable input. Attackers construct specially crafted data that exceeds a buffer size and aims to overwriting specific memory location. For crafting exploitable input, attackers create a crafted data to exceed a buffer size and aim to overwriting specific memory location. Exploiting the overflow. The crafted data can then be injected into the program, causing the overflow and enable the attackers to again to enabling the attackers to gain control of the program's execution flow. Defining SQL injection. Definition: a technique that injects malicious SQL code into data inputs to manipulate backend database, potentially granting unauthorized access, modifying data, or causing system disruption. SQL injection is the technique to inject the malicious SQL code into the database for backend database. Example, a user input field for a login form might be vulnerable to SQL injection if it doesn't sanitize user input, allowing to attackers to insert malicious SQL code into the login query. Causes and consequences for SQL injection. Unfiltered input. When application fail to sanitize or validate user input, attackers can inject malicious SQL code into the data field. That means when application fail to sanitize or validate user input, when we will not create a valid or powerful user interface, then attackers can easily inject malicious SQL code into database field. Database manipulation. Attackers can modify, delete, or extract sensitive data from the database, compromising data integrity and confidentiality. confidentiality. That means attackers can easily modify, delete, or extract sensitive data from the database. Security breaches. SQL injection can lead to unauthorized access, data theft, system crashes, and denial of service attacks. That means SQL injection can lead to unauthorized access, data theft, systems crashes, and denied to service attacks. How to exploit SQL injection? Understanding the database. Attackers need to understand the database schema and its structure to craft effective SQL injection attacks. Attackers should have a proper understanding about database for injecting the crafted data. Crafting malicious code. Attackers create SQL code that bypasses security checks and manipulates database operations, granting them unauthorized access. Third one is exploiting the vulnerabilities. The malicious code is injected into the database inputs, exploiting weaknesses in the application security measures to gain unauthorized access. That means malicious code is injected into the data inputs. So, exploiting weakness in the application security measures to gain unauthorized access. Prevention strategies for vulnerabilities. Input validation. Ensuring that all user input are validated and sanitized to prevent malicious code from being injected into the application. Make sure your application should be validated and your data is also prevented from the malicious code from being injected to the application. Secure coding practices. Following secure coding guidelines and using secure programming language to minimize vulnerabilities. By the help of guidelines and programming language, we can minimize the vulnerabilities in our systems. Conclusion. Information security vulnerabilities pose significant risk to individual organization and government. Information security vulnerability is responsible for risk to individual organization and government also. Understanding these vulnerabilities and implementing effective prevention strategies are is crucial to protecting sensitive data and system from attacks. Vulnerabilities and implementing effective prevention strategies are very useful to protecting our sensitive data or system from attackers. Ongoing vigilance, education, and proactive security measures and essentially for staying ahead of evolving threats. Vigilance and education and proactive security measure is very useful for upcoming threats and attacks. Now this is the conclusion of this video. Thank you everyone to watching this video. Bye bye. See you.